Good morning. Thank you all for coming to this press conference of the Green Party of Canada. For those of you who are students here at the university and you're wondering what's going on, gather round, because at least one federal party in this election campaign is thinking about your future and wants to take some dramatic steps. To stand up with and for our youth, our students, our educational system. I'm honored to be joined here on the steps, on this balcony of this wonderful facility at the University of Guelph. I'm joined by our local candidate, Gord Miller, running to be the next Member of Parliament for Guelph. I'm joined by many candidates from the region, and forgive me, I'm not going to introduce everyone, although boy, I would love to. But particularly I want to acknowledge that Lynn Nguyen is here, who is the youth critic on the Green Party Shadow Cabinet running in Mississauga Centre. And in a nonpartisan expert role, particularly when we get to questions, I'm really thrilled that Bilan Art, who is the National Director, no, I'm not the right title, National Chairperson for the Canadian Federation of Students. So here, my name is Elizabeth May. I'm leader of the Green Party of Canada, and boy am I excited to dig into the program that we're announcing today with the goal of abolishing tuition in Canada by 2020. Pour le vert, c'est clair. Nous devons investir dans la jeunesse du Canada et les compétences, la formation et l'éducation qui sont nécessaires. Maintenant, nous avons une situation inacceptable quand tous les jeunes, les étudiantes ont un fardeau impossible, d'un niveau d'un dette absolument impossible, avec pour chaque étudiant un niveau de dette qui était insupportable. C'est pour les étudiants, la situation avec le niveau d'études, scolarité, c'est pas acceptable pour tout et pour tout. Et ce n'est pas seulement les étudiants, mais aussi leurs familles qui sont maintenant dans une situation vraiment impossible. We've created a situation that is really impossible, not just for students, but for their families, with levels of debt that are through the roof for attaining an education. You know, when I finished law school in 1983, I had a debt that wasn't interest-bearing. There were no such things as interest-bearing loans when I finished law school.
Yeah.
I had a debt of $5,000 when I finished law school in 1983. And I received generous bursaries while I was at university. We need to invest in education. We need to eliminate student debt. So here's the steps we're prepared to take in the Green Party. The goal of abolishing tuition is one that can be achieved by the year 2020. It will take federal government working with provincial and territorial governments, working with the university and college community throughout Canada to get around the same table to figure out how we eliminate tuition. But here's something that Canadians need to know. We're already spending billions on a complicated framework that simply isn't working. Between the various federal programs, we're spending billions of dollars and not delivering affordable education, and at the same time we're burdening students with interest-bearing student debt. No student in Canada should end their education carrying more than $10,000 student debt. That's our commitment, not just to students who are just in university now and beginning to accumulate that debt. That's our commitment for the future. And for existing student debt, anyone out there who's carrying levels of student debt above $10,000, we will act in government to bring your debt down to no more than $10,000. Les indétitudes des étudiants, ce n'est pas acceptable et on doit faire face à le défi pour l'élimination de dettes à d'études des étudiants, plus de 10 000 $ par étudiant. Ça, c'est le niveau le plus grand pour nous comme une partie, et c'est absolument possible. We can absolutely do this. Right now, the federal government, by the way, I'm speaking, of course, of federal debt. That's where we can act right away. The federal government spends about $120 million a year on the people it takes to phone students to ask them to repay their debt. We're spending billions more on a variety of programs that aren't working, whether it's the Canadian student loan program, the various grants that are given out, the entire registered education savings program. By the time you look at the collectivity of these programs, we're looking at a level of federal spending of around $4 billion. We're spending $2 billion on tax write-offs on student tuition alone, without actually acting to ensure that every Canadian can obtain the education, the training, the skills they need, whether in their choice of a trade, whether plumbing or electrician or pipe fitter, or whether they're going for a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Education or a Master's or a PhD. Canada's economy depends on investing in our brains, investing in our youth, and ensuring that no Canadian gives up on their educational dreams because they can't afford it. Yeah. We're also going to act on the current situation, which is unacceptable, that close to 14% of Canadian youth are unemployed. That's the official stat. Twice the national average unemployment among youth. Les niveaux ici maintenant pour les emplois, pour les jeunesses du Canada, c'est pas acceptable. On doit faire un programme. Nous devons mettre sur pied un programme national pour les emplois des jeunes par les municipalités du Canada. We want to create a national program for community and environmental service corps where we will provide at the federal level $1 billion a year to municipalities to have young people in their community start doing the work that needs to get done. We will act immediately on youth unemployment. Yeah. And of course, stimulating the economy and fighting the recession will create jobs throughout Canadian society. But it really should not be something that governments ignore when our young people are facing unacceptable levels of stress, leading to mental health issues, leading to depression, graduating university with an average of $25,000 student debt, leaving into a workforce where you can't get your first job, where you can't afford your first house. Ignoring the life chances of young people and assuming it'll all be okay because we in the boomer generation had it good and it's just your tough luck you didn't get born when we did. No political party should find this acceptable. No political party. We in the Green Party want to challenge the other parties. Something that is unspoken in election campaigns. Why are young people's issues ignored? I hate to tell you why. It's not a dirty secret, it's an open secret. You haven't been voting. The other parties decide you won't vote. It doesn't matter if you vote. I don't care, frankly. These policies of the Green Party are not developed to trick you into voting. These policies are because, as a society, if we ignore our young people, our future is in trouble. Yes. Yes. Right now, if we don't change the direction, the trend lines for what it's like for Canadian youth, why would you ever bother voting? But the truth is, when young people start voting, start participating in the choices of what government you want to see, you will change politics, you will change democracy, you will change Parliament, and you will change Canada for good, by which I mean for the better, and for good, by which I mean forever. Citizen engagement begins before you're 18 years old, but when you're 18 and you can vote, please don't ignore the reality that that stubby little pencil in a small booth where you go to cast your ballot is your most powerful tool of political change for action on the climate crisis, for action on economic inequality, for action on the truth and reconciliation agenda, for our relationship with First Nations people, for justice for women, for an end to violence against women, all of the issues you care about. You can take a stand and make a difference when you pick up that funny, stubby little pencil and put an X next to the name of the candidate that you think will work for you. The Green Party is committed to eliminating poverty in this country. This will particularly be of assistance to young people in university or college or starting out in life to know that with a guaranteed livable income, every single Canadian over 18 will receive enough money to live on above the poverty line. Not enough, but enough to ensure that no one is living below the poverty line in this country. We're a wealthy country, we can do this, and it will actually save our economy, it will save our healthcare system, it will reduce costs throughout our society. We can afford to do it by working again, sitting down with the provinces, the territories, municipal government, First Nations, Métis and Inuit governments in the decision-making body we want to create in this election. A council of Canadian governments focused on the health of the nation as a whole. We need to think like a country again, and that means deciding that it's unacceptable that any Canadian lives in poverty. We can fix it, and we will, and that will improve the situation for young people starting out in life. You'll have a base income on which you can earn more. No clawbacks. You have a base income that allows you to pursue what you want to do while you develop the skills and earn the credentials that get you the job you want. Comme un parti, et tous les candidats et candidates du Parti vert du Canada, nous sommes engagés pour l'avenir, nous sommes engagés pour les droits, les capacités des jeunes du Canada. Les jeunesse canadienne. On doit faire face à leurs défis, les défis pour les jeunesses canadiennes. Ce n'est pas la même chose que pour moi quand j'étais jeune. J'ai beaucoup de bonne chance. Seulement, la bonne chance d'être dans le groupe quand la population a beaucoup plus des opportunités à moins coût. Les droits scolaritaires maintenant sont plus hauts et chaque année, ils augmentent. Maintenant, c'est le moment de dire non, c'est pas acceptable. Ensemble, nous pouvons faire un changement profond dans les droits scolaritaires, dans les niveaux d'aptitude des étudiants. C'est nécessaire, on doit le faire, et c'est vraiment possible. We know, as a party, that if we ignore our youth, society will begin to fall apart. We have to invest in our most important resource, young people. Starting with our little babies and children, we need to invest in youth. It is the source of our future wealth. I hate to say this to you guys, but yes, Canadian youth are our only hope for a sustainable economy in the future. But your dreams and your opportunities matter. Your opportunities to do things that you can't imagine yet because technology keeps changing, the economy keeps changing. We need to have a society of critical thinkers. We need a society of people who are empowered, engaged, and understand that in a democracy, it's the citizens of this country who control our future, and not a bunch of backroom boys. Yeah. Maintenant, c'est le moment pour le plus grand changement de notre société dans une génération. C'est nécessaire. On doit le faire. I ask you to join me. I ask you to spread the word. I don't care how you're going to vote, folks. I really don't. But when young people vote, you will change the world. Take the ideas the Green Party's putting forward. Go to the party you might be supporting and say, why aren't you committing to abolishing tuition? Why aren't you prepared to address the crushing levels of student debt for young people and their families? Why aren't you talking about the unacceptable reality that unemployment among Canadian youth is twice the national average, and insecure employment? Unacceptable unpaid internships. With the Green Party of Canada will bring forward legislation to ban unpaid internships. This is all possible. Canada, with the wealth of this country, with the brilliance of our population, with the strength of our institutions, as beleaguered as our democratic institutions are right now, they're not gone. They're merely disabled. Some of them are on life support. The concept of supremacy of Parliament, I'd say that one's on life support. Some of them I wrote in my last book were like the Monty Python sketch, The Dead Parrot. Democracy in Canada is hanging on to its little perch. It's been nailed there, and people are hoping that a lot of people won't notice it's a dead parrot. Democracy in this country is on life support. This is the election where Canadian youth coming to the fore can rescue Canadian democracy from partisan politics. Those of us in my generation, I'm the oldest party leader, by the way, I'm 61, and I'm looking to you young people for help. My generation has not done a very good job protecting your future. The climate crisis is looming. We've abandoned your right to an education that's affordable. We're allowing young people to squander their early life chances for lack of being able to find a good job. It ends now. Are you with me?
Yeah!
It's time. It's time for good ideas. It's time for ideas that others aren't raising. But with Greens in Parliament, we will get action on all these issues. Because once they're spoken out loud, they resonate, they strike a chord, and Canadians from coast to coast to coast, not just young people, but your parents and your grandparents who've been feeling for a long time, this isn't right. It's not right that 40% of Canadians between 30 and 33 years old are still relying on their families for economic support.
Oh my God.
It's not right. So, in this election in 2015, we are the ones who will say out loud, we eliminate poverty, we protect our healthcare system, we expand to pharmacare, and we bring forward a bold vision that Canada will join the countries around the world that have abolished tuition and seen their economy thrive and improve, because an educated, engaged, and empowered younger generation is essential to a healthy democracy and to a sustainable society. Thank you.